The starship Horizon glided silently above the turquoise clouds of Varelia. Its sleek hull reflected the sun of a distant system as if the ship itself were alive. Captain Aaron stood on the bridge watching the planet below. He felt a mixture of excitement and tension. This mission was not just diplomatic. It was a test of humanity's place in the wider galaxy. Varelia was the capital of a powerful alien empire, home to species with tall, elegant bodies and eyes that glowed softly in the dark. The city below shimmered with towers of crystal and bridges of light that connected distant peaks. From above, it looked like a living jewel, but Aaron knew that beauty could hide danger. Political alliances were never simple, and this summit was meant to cement one that could shape the future of many civilizations. "Captain, we are approaching the landing zone," said Lieutenant Sarah, her voice steady but careful. She had served with Aaron for years and knew how much this mission meant to him. "Security protocols are in place. Varelian delegates will meet us shortly." Aaron nodded. "Keep sensors active. I want full coverage of the surrounding airspace. We cannot take chances, even if this is a diplomatic mission." The shuttle descended smoothly onto a landing platform that floated above a glowing river of liquid light. As the hatch opened, a soft wind carried a faint hum that seemed almost musical. The humans stepped onto the platform and were immediately met by Varelian guards. They were tall and graceful, their movements precise, yet every motion held a subtle threat. At the center of the platform, a figure waited. Princess Lysera, the young heir to the Varelian throne, stood with a calm but powerful presence. Her robe shimmered with colors that shifted as she moved. Her eyes scanned the humans carefully, and when they met Aaron's gaze, a pause lingered between them. It was brief, yet it carried a weight that neither ignored. "Captain Aaron," she said in a voice smooth and measured, "welcome to Varelia. I trust your journey was safe." Aaron bowed respectfully. "Your Highness, the journey was smooth and our crew is ready to participate in the summit." He noted the hint of tension in her posture. Even royalty carried burdens, and he could sense that this princess was no exception. Lysera inclined her head. "Good, the council awaits. But I must warn you, the pact before us is sensitive. Its consequences reach far beyond our world." Aaron understood immediately. The Varelians had a pact with several alien civilizations that would bind their economies, military resources, and political decisions together. For the humans, this was an opportunity to learn, to adapt, and to prove their value. But the risk was clear. Any misstep could alienate entire worlds. The humans followed Lysera through corridors of crystal and light. The palace was magnificent. Holographic images floated above the floor, showing galaxies and stars, some unknown even to humanity. Each hall held statues of Varelian leaders, some past and some current, their expressions stern but wise. The air smelled faintly of ozone and jasmine. In a private room before the main council chamber, Aaron and Lysera spoke alone. He noted her hesitation as she adjusted her robes and glanced toward the council doors. "Your Highness," Aaron began carefully, "I understand this pact may demand sacrifices from your people. If I may ask what troubles you most about it." Lysera regarded him silently for a moment, then spoke. "The pact binds not just my people, but others as well. Some civilizations will gain advantages, while others may suffer. I am expected to agree without question, but my conscience tells me otherwise. I fear what silence might allow." Aaron nodded. "Human history is full of moments where people stood for what they believed. Sometimes the right choice is not the easiest one. We humans have often faced decisions where courage mattered more than convenience." Lysera's eyes softened slightly. No one in her court had ever spoken to her this way. Diplomats and advisors often flattered or manipulated, but Aaron spoke with honesty. "You speak as if you know the weight of leadership," she said quietly. "I do not claim to understand all your responsibilities," Aaron admitted, "but I believe strength is measured not just by power, but by integrity. Even one voice can inspire others. Sometimes that voice changes the outcome." She looked away for a moment, staring at a holographic galaxy that spun slowly in the corner of the room. "I fear the council will see hesitation as weakness. If I refuse, my people may lose trust in me. If I comply, I betray what I believe is right." Aaron stepped closer, careful not to intrude but determined to offer reassurance. "Princess Lysera, standing firm is never easy. But sometimes courage alone can alter the course of history. Your people will see the truth of your intentions. They will follow where integrity leads." The princess took a deep breath. She had spent years learning the rules of politics, of strategy and manipulation, and yet in front of this human she felt the weight of possibility. Could she truly act according to her own judgment? Could she defy the pact and still protect her people? "Captain," she said finally, her voice steadying, "your words give me hope, but this path is dangerous. My advisors will not allow such defiance quietly. They may act against me if they sense my hesitation." Aaron's expression remained calm. "Then we will be careful. But remember, even in danger, we humans have found ways to survive through courage and unity. You're not alone in this." Lysera studied him for a long moment, noting his resolve. Something about humanity's history, its relentless drive to endure, to rise even from the gravest challenges, resonated within her. She felt a stirring she had not expected, a spark of determination mirrored in the human standing before her. "Very well, Captain," she said finally. "I will consider your words carefully. But for now we must proceed to the council. The debate will begin shortly and I cannot delay the proceedings." Aaron bowed once more. "Understood, Your Highness. I will accompany you and ensure our presence supports, not obstructs, your decisions." As they approached the council chamber, the air seemed to hum with anticipation. Delegates from distant worlds filled the room, their varied forms and colors a testament to the galaxy's diversity. The Varelians had prepared an impressive display, meant to impress and intimidate at the same time. Aaron noted the tension in the air. The stakes were higher than most humans would ever face. Lysera walked to the podium, her head held high despite the storm of emotions inside her. She paused briefly when her gaze fell on Aaron, and for a moment the political theater seemed to fade. In that fleeting second, human courage met alien expectation, and she understood that her choice, her defiance or compliance, would not be a matter of tradition but of morality, courage, and the unseen strength of one human standing firm. The council chamber fell silent as she prepared to speak. Every eye was on her, yet her thoughts lingered on the human captain. He had shown her a path that no advisor, no diplomat, no scroll of law could reveal, a path where integrity and courage mattered more than fear. The first words she would speak in the council could shape galaxies, but she no longer felt paralyzed. Standing there, Lysera felt a seed of resolve. Against the expectations of her people, the pressures of her advisors, and the weight of history itself, she could stand firm. And perhaps with the right guidance, the human before her might just help her turn possibility into reality. The doors closed behind them. The council awaited, and in that silent, charged moment, a story of courage, defiance, and the unexpected influence of humanity began. The council chamber of Varelia was enormous, shaped like a crescent moon and filled with delegates from dozens of civilizations. Each species had its own way of moving, communicating, and showing respect. Some floated above the floor, others had multiple limbs that gestured constantly, and a few communicated through lights or vibrations. Aaron stood quietly among the humans and observed. His mission was delicate: support the human presence while learning about alien politics and ensuring that the integrity of all civilizations was considered. Princess Lysera took her place at the center podium. Her eyes scanned the room. Every glance from a delegate seemed to carry judgment. The pact before the council was more than a treaty. It was a set of rules that would shape the economies, militaries, and alliances of the star systems for decades. Some civilizations supported it without question. Others were reluctant, fearing that its terms would favor certain species over others. Aaron could see the tension in Lysera's shoulders. She had learned to perform the outward calm of royalty, yet her mind raced. The human captain had been right. Integrity and courage mattered, and she would need both in the coming hours. The council president, an ancient being with silver skin and 3 glowing eyes, began the session. Delegates, the pact has been prepared with care. Its purpose is to unite our civilizations and ensure stability across the galaxy. We welcome discussion, though we expect consideration and respect. Several delegates immediately rose to speak, each advocating their own interests. Some spoke about trade advantages, others about security, and a few warned of potential conflicts. The debate was sharp, precise, and full of subtle threats hidden behind polite language. Lysera listened carefully. She could see that many of her advisors and allies were pressuring her to approve the pact without change. They whispered warnings about rebellion, loss of influence, and the anger of other kingdoms. But her mind lingered on what Aaron had said. Courage and integrity mattered. Her people looked to her not just as a ruler, but as a symbol of hope. Could she bend her conscience for political convenience? When the council president looked toward her, the room fell silent. Every eye turned to the princess. Her pulse quickened, but she held her posture firm. This moment would define her leadership. "Honored delegates," she began, her voice clear and steady. "We are here to discuss a pact meant to unite civilizations. Yet unity must be built on fairness and trust. If we allow decisions to favor some while harming others, we risk not peace but resentment. I cannot accept a pact that ignores the consequences for those who may suffer under it." A murmur ran through the room. Some delegates looked shocked. A few whispered quickly to one another. Lysira's advisors stiffened, clearly alarmed at her defiance. One stepped forward, bowing slightly. "Your Highness, the Council expects compliance. Public disagreement may weaken our position and provoke those who oppose Virelia." "Are you certain?" Lysira met his gaze. "I am certain. Leadership is not the same as submission. I will speak for the values of my people, even when it is difficult." Aaron watched silently from his seat. He was proud of her courage. Humanity had always faced moments like this, when standing for what was right carried risk, but the alternative was worse. He could see that Lysira's bravery inspired other delegates. A few began to nod subtly, signaling that they might support amendments to the pact rather than oppose it blindly. During a recess, Lysira retreated to a smaller chamber with Aaron. She sank into a seat, her mind heavy with thoughts. "Captain, I feel the weight of this decision more than I expected. Even with courage, I fear for my people. What if standing firm brings harm?" Aaron leaned against the wall, calm and reassuring. "Princess, history shows that leaders who act with integrity rarely regret it. The risks are real, but courage often inspires solutions. You are not alone. Your people see your determination, and some delegates are beginning to recognize it as well." She considered his words carefully. Lysira had been trained to follow rules and obey expectations. Yet she realized that rules alone could not ensure justice or fairness. The spark that Aaron had mentioned earlier began to grow stronger. "Perhaps there is a way to guide this pact rather than simply accept or reject it," she said. Aaron nodded. "Exactly. Find the principles that matter most: justice, equality, protection, and let those guide your decisions. Other civilizations may be willing to compromise if they see honesty and fairness." Over the next few hours, discussions intensified. Lysira proposed specific amendments to the pact, ensuring protections for smaller and weaker civilizations. Some delegates reacted angrily, but others quietly supported her logic. Aaron assisted by providing examples of human governance, negotiation, and cooperation. He explained how humanity had survived countless challenges by listening, adapting, and acting ethically. "Humans are not perfect," Aaron admitted during a side discussion, "but we believe in fairness and accountability. We face mistakes openly and work to correct them. Sometimes the right choice is not the easiest one, but it builds trust for the future." A few younger delegates from distant planets leaned closer, listening with curiosity. They had not expected humans to bring such a perspective to the council. They whispered among themselves, debating how Virelia's stand could affect their own decisions. By the end of the first day, the council was deeply divided. Some powerful delegates opposed Lysira openly, warning that her insistence on fairness could destabilize trade and military agreements. Others quietly approached her, offering subtle support and asking her to consider their viewpoints. That night, Lysira walked alone along a balcony that overlooked the glowing city of Virelia. Stars shimmered above, but her thoughts were heavy. Could she truly defy expectations without risking war or loss of trust? Her reflection caught in the crystal railing, showing a figure of elegance and power, yet one that felt fragile in this vast universe. Aaron joined her quietly. "The council will try to test your resolve," he said gently. "But remember, your strength is not only in your title. It is in your choices. You inspire others not by bending, but by standing firm." Lysira looked at him, the tension in her shoulders easing slightly. "You make it sound simple, Captain. But even the bravest leaders must weigh the lives of their people." "It is never simple," Aaron admitted. "But courage and integrity create opportunities. Sometimes they open doors that no strategy or power could force. You have that spark. I have no doubt your people will recognize it as well." Lysera smiled faintly, a rare expression of relief. The human captain had a way of simplifying the complex without diminishing it. She felt a new confidence building, a sense that she could face the council not only as a princess bound by duty, but as a leader guided by her principles. The next day, she returned to the chamber with renewed determination. When the council reconvened, her amendments were presented clearly, her arguments logical and heartfelt. The delegates listened, some reluctantly, some thoughtfully. Aaron remained by her side, quietly supporting her presence without interfering. By the afternoon, the first signs of change appeared. A few delegates shifted their positions, influenced by Lysera's courage and the human perspective she now represented. What began as a council ready to enforce tradition was slowly transforming into a forum where fairness and cooperation could be debated openly. Lysera realized that her path would not be easy, and the challenges ahead were many, but for the first time she understood that courage was not simply a feeling, it was action, guided by principle and reinforced by allies willing to stand beside her. As she left the chamber that evening, Aaron followed. "You have started something important today," he said. "The council will remember your words, and the galaxy may remember the human who helped you see your own strength." Lysera paused, considering his words carefully. "Perhaps it is not about helping or guiding, Captain. Perhaps it is about reminding me that strength lies in choosing right over easy. Your presence makes me see what I might forget in the weight of duty." Aaron smiled, a quiet gesture of respect and admiration. "Then we will continue this together, one step at a time with courage as our guide." And so the human and the alien princess prepared for the challenges to come. The council was not yet won, and enemies still lurked in shadows, but a spark had been lit, a spark of defiance, hope, and the quiet power of humanity's example. The council chamber was brighter than ever, lit by the glowing spires of Veralia and the soft light of hovering crystal orbs. Delegates filled the crescent-shaped hall, their eyes fixed on Princess Lysera. Whispers moved through the crowd like an invisible current. Some were filled with anticipation, others with disapproval. Today was the day that would test her courage and define her leadership, Captain Aaron observed quietly from the side of the chamber. He noticed the subtle signs of tension in the air. Some delegates shifted nervously in their seats. Others leaned forward, eager to hear Lysera's words. Even the most seasoned diplomats seemed uncertain. The princess's presence was commanding, but the council had faced strong personalities before. The difference was that Lysera spoke not only with authority, but with the honesty of conviction. The council president, the silver-skinned elder with 3 glowing eyes, cleared his throat. "Princess Lysera, the council awaits your position on the proposed pact. Speak and let your voice be heard." Lysera inhaled deeply. Every member of the council was watching her. Some expected submission, some anticipated defiance, and some simply waited to see what the humans would do. She felt the weight of centuries of tradition pressing down on her. Her people, her kingdom, and countless civilizations hung in the balance. "My fellow delegates," she began, her voice calm yet resolute. "The pact before us promises unity and stability, but unity built on injustice is not true unity. Stability built on inequality is fragile. I cannot support terms that give advantage to some while harming others. Leadership is not obedience. It is responsibility. I stand for fairness, for justice, and for the protection of those who cannot speak for themselves." A sharp murmur ran through the chamber. Some delegates leaned back in surprise. Others whispered quickly to their neighbors. A few advisors of the Verelian throne exchanged worried glances. Lysera noticed them but did not waver. Her gaze briefly met Captain Aaron's. In his eyes she found steady encouragement. She was not alone. One of the council's senior delegates, a tall being with golden skin and multiple arms, rose immediately. "Princess Lysera," it said, its tone polite but firm. "The pact has been carefully crafted to benefit all member civilizations. Your objection risks destabilizing decades of work. Are you certain your people are ready for the consequences of defiance?" Lysera lifted her chin. "I am certain. If we act only for convenience or fear, we fail our responsibilities. True leadership is measured not by compliance but by courage to protect the greater good." The golden-skinned delegate frowned and returned to its seat. Whispers grew louder. A few delegates from smaller civilizations nodded subtly. They had been quietly hoping that someone with authority would challenge the Pact in favor of fairness. Lizera's courage inspired them. Captain Aaron stepped forward slightly, addressing a small group of observers. In human history, we have faced similar choices. Leaders often stand against the pressures of tradition, fear, and convenience to protect what is right. Success comes not from dominating others, but from ensuring fairness and building trust. A young delegate from a distant planet tilted its head, intrigued by Aaron's words. Its species had no concept of human diplomacy, yet it understood the meaning behind his message. Lizera noticed the subtle shift in attention and felt a spark of hope. The council president raised a hand. Let the discussion continue. We will hear all perspectives before any vote. Princess Lizera, you have made your position clear. Others may now respond. Debate stretched for hours. Each delegate voiced concerns, objections, or support. Some criticized Lizera, claiming her stance was reckless. Others cautiously supported her ideas, suggesting that amendments could make the pact fairer without destabilizing the system. Lizera listened carefully. She took notes, considered arguments, and responded thoughtfully. Her voice remained calm and persuasive. She did not attack or insult. She appealed to reason, fairness, and mutual benefit. Aaron remained by her side, quietly supporting her and providing examples of human problem-solving techniques when appropriate. During a break, Lizera stepped into a private corridor with Aaron. Her expression was a mix of exhaustion and determination. Captain, some of the delegates are trying to turn public opinion against me. They whisper threats and warn of consequences. I feel the weight of every eye on me. Even courage feels heavy at times. Aaron nodded. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the ability to act despite fear. You are showing your people and the council what true leadership means. They may test you, but your stand is already inspiring change. Lizera considered his words. It is strange. Before you arrived, I felt trapped by duty and expectation. Now I see that integrity can be its own guide. Perhaps there is a way to strengthen this pact rather than simply oppose it. Exactly, Aaron said. Identify the principles that matter most. Fairness, protection, justice, and let those guide your amendments. Others may follow if they see honesty and courage in your actions. Returning to the council chamber, Lizera presented her proposals clearly. She suggested adjustments to trade agreements to protect smaller civilizations, safety protocols to prevent misuse of military resources, and equitable decision-making processes for all members. Her proposals were precise, logical, and moral. Some delegates opposed her openly, claiming that her stance would slow progress. Others listened quietly, intrigued by the fairness in her reasoning. Several younger or less influential delegates began to murmur agreement, inspired by her courage. Hours passed. The council debated vigorously. Lizera remained composed, answering questions and clarifying her proposals. Captain Aaron observed every reaction, ready to provide insight or support as needed. The human presence added a new perspective, one that some delegates found refreshing, others irritating. As evening approached, Lizera noticed subtle changes. Delegates who had been rigid in their positions began to consider compromise. Discussions were no longer dominated solely by fear of losing power. The idea that fairness and integrity mattered began to take hold. During a quiet moment, Lizera leaned toward Aaron. Your guidance has been invaluable, not as someone telling me what to do, but as a reminder of what courage and integrity can achieve. Aaron smiled. You had the strength all along. My role is simply to help you see it clearly. Today you have demonstrated that leadership is about choices, not titles. That will not be forgotten. The council recessed for the night, but the chamber buzzed with speculation. Some delegates whispered in corridors. Others wrote private messages, and a few openly praised the princess's courage. Lizera understood that the challenge was far from over. Tomorrow the vote would come, and she would have to stand even firmer. As she walked through the palace gardens with Aaron later, she felt a sense of determination she had never experienced. I see now, she said softly, that courage is not just about standing up. It is about inspiring others to stand with you. Even the smallest support can shift the balance, Aaron nodded. Humanity has faced countless challenges, and we have learned that unity and fairness often create stronger alliances than fear and control. You have started something today, Princess. The council may not yet realize it, But the path has begun. Lysra paused at the edge of a glowing pool. Her reflection shimmered, and in it, she saw a leader who was no longer bound only by expectation but guided by principle. Her resolve strengthened, knowing that the decisions of the coming days could shape the future of countless worlds. Tonight, she rested, knowing that courage would face its ultimate test in the morning. The Council's vote would challenge not only her convictions but also the alliances, rivalries, and ambitions of every civilization present. Yet she was ready. For the first time, Lysra understood that standing firm against the pressures of tradition and fear was not an act of defiance alone, but a choice to protect what was right. Captain Aaron watched the princess from a quiet distance. Humanity had faced its share of uncertainty and danger, yet he had never doubted that courage and integrity could inspire change. Lysra had both in abundance. Together they had begun to show the galaxy that strength was not measured only by power, but by the courage to do what is right. And in that chamber, under the soft light of the twin moons of Virelia, a spark of hope and defiance burned brightly, preparing the stage for the most critical moment the princess would ever face. The night over Virelia was calm, but the palace corridors were filled with whispers and hidden movements. Princess Lysra had begun to sense the undercurrents of opposition. Some delegates and advisors, unhappy with her insistence on fairness, were quietly plotting to pressure her into submission. The council's vote was approaching, and tensions ran high. Captain Aaron walked beside her in a private corridor. "Your Highness, I sense unrest in the palace," he said. "We should be prepared for covert attempts to influence or intimidate you. It is common in political assemblies for opponents to act secretly when public confrontation fails." Lysra nodded, her expression firm. "I expected as much, Captain. They cannot stop me from speaking the truth, but I must be careful. Even a small misstep could give them an advantage." Together they moved through the palace halls, reviewing security reports and discussing possible threats. Aaron emphasized caution while reinforcing the princess's resolve. "Strength is not only in standing firm," he said, "but in using strategy and intelligence to protect what matters. Your courage will inspire others, but planning keeps it safe." Meanwhile, a group of dissenting delegates gathered in secret chambers. Their whispers carried frustration and anger. "The princess defies tradition," one said, its voice low but urgent. "Her insistence on fairness weakens our influence. We must act before the vote or risk losing control over the council's decisions." A smaller faction, representing weaker civilizations, listened quietly. "Perhaps her courage is what is needed," one murmured. "She speaks for fairness and justice. If we join her, we may ensure protection for our people as well." Back in the palace, Lysra spent hours preparing her arguments. She reviewed the proposed amendments, clarified her reasoning, and anticipated possible counterpoints. Aaron assisted, providing examples from human history where careful planning and ethical action had overcome even the most powerful opposition. "Look at how humans faced impossible challenges," Aaron explained. "We have been tested countless times, yet integrity and courage helped us succeed. You can do the same. The council may try to intimidate, but the truth is a powerful ally." Lysra considered his words. She realized that leadership was not just about authority or tradition. It was about making difficult choices and standing by them. "I see now," she said, "that courage alone is not enough. Strategy and insight must support it. Your presence reminds me of that." The following morning, the council convened once more. Delegates entered the chamber with careful attention, whispering among themselves. Lysra walked to her podium, her posture strong and determined. Aaron remained at the edge of the hall, watching carefully for any unusual movement. The council president began the session. "Princess Lysra, the time has come to finalize your position. The vote approaches and each delegate must declare their stance. Proceed." Lysra took a deep breath. Her gaze swept the chamber, noting subtle reactions. Some delegates were tense, some wary, and a few seemed inspired by her courage. She began to speak clearly and with conviction. "The pact before us must be fair to all civilizations. Amendments that protect the vulnerable and ensure equality are not optional. They are essential. I stand for integrity, justice, and the protection of those who cannot defend themselves." A few delegates rose immediately, challenging her words. "Your Highness," one said, "this is reckless. Your stance risks destabilizing trade and security. Do you not fear the consequences?" Lysra's voice did not waver. I fear consequences only if I ignore what is right. Stability without fairness is fragile. Leadership is measured not by obedience but by courage and ethical choice. The debate grew heated. Delegates argued with logic, rhetoric, and subtle threats. Some advisors tried to intimidate Lysera through body language and whispered warnings. Yet she stood firm, Aaron observed, ready to intervene if needed, but confident in the strength she displayed. During a recess, a small group of delegates approached Lysera privately. They represented smaller civilizations that had long been overlooked in council decisions. "Your courage gives us hope," one said. "We will support your amendments. Together we can ensure fairness." Lysera smiled. "Thank you. Your support matters. Courage is stronger when shared. Even a few voices united can shift the balance." Back in the council chamber, the vote began. Delegates declared their positions one by one. Some opposed her amendments openly, while others supported her quietly. The tension in the hall was palpable. Every declaration carried weight. Every choice could influence the outcome. Aaron noted the subtle shifts. Smaller factions were now openly backing Lysera, inspired by her courage and the human perspective she had introduced. Even some of the initially resistant delegates hesitated, reconsidering the fairness of their stance. As the final votes were cast, the council president tallied the results. The room fell silent. Lysera felt her heart race, but she did not show it. Aaron stood nearby, his calm presence a quiet reassurance. "The council has reached a decision," the president announced. "Princess Lysera's amendments have been accepted. The Pact will proceed with fairness and protection for all member civilizations." A wave of relief and quiet applause swept through the chamber. Some delegates looked surprised, others impressed. Lysera's advisors approached her cautiously, now seeing her courage and judgment as a strength rather than a liability. Lysera turned to Aaron, her expression a mix of relief and pride. "We have succeeded, Captain. The Council has recognized what is right. Your guidance and humanity's example have made a difference." Aaron shook his head slightly. "The difference was yours, Princess. I only reminded you of your strength. You stood firm when it mattered most, and that inspired change. Humanity is proud to witness courage such as yours." Even outside the council chamber, Lysera noticed small gestures of support. Citizens of Virelia and delegates from other planets began discussing the importance of fairness and integrity. The spark of defiance she had ignited was now spreading quietly but steadily. Later, in the palace gardens, Lysera reflected on the events of the day. The stars above shone brightly, and the glowing city below mirrored their light. "I have learned something important," she said softly. "Leadership is not about fear or compliance. It is about courage, integrity, and the willingness to act for what is right, even when it is difficult." Aaron nodded. "And it is about inspiring others to follow. Your courage today reminded everyone that principles matter more than convenience or power. The galaxy will take notice." Lysera looked toward the horizon, feeling a renewed sense of purpose. The council had accepted her amendments, but she knew that challenges would continue. Political intrigue, rival factions, and the complexities of interstellar diplomacy would always test her. Yet she no longer felt alone. Humanity's example, Captain Aaron's support, and her own strength had created a foundation she could build upon. That night, the palace remained vigilant. Shadows of rebellion still lingered, but the light of integrity and courage shone brighter. Lysera knew that the choices she had made would echo through the galaxy, inspiring others to stand firm when faced with injustice. Captain Aaron watched the princess from a quiet distance. He had seen countless challenges in his life, yet he had never witnessed such a combination of courage, wisdom, and integrity. Lysera had shown that one leader's determination could influence not only their own people, but also entire civilizations. Humanity had taught her, but she had also reminded the galaxy of the power of principled leadership. And in that moment, under the twin moons of Virelia, a story of courage, hope, and the quiet influence of humanity continued to unfold. The council had been tested, alliances had shifted, and a spark of fairness had been ignited. The galaxy was watching, and the future had changed, not through force but through the courage to stand firm and the wisdom to act with integrity. The morning sun of Virelia cast a warm glow over the palace, reflecting off the crystal towers and illuminating the city in golden light. Princess Lysera stood on the balcony overlooking the bustling streets below. Citizens moved with purpose, their faces showing curiosity and hope. The council's vote had passed the previous evening, and news had spread quickly. Her courage and wisdom had left an impression not only on the council, but on the people of Veralia and the delegates from distant worlds. Captain Arin stepped beside her quietly. "Your Highness, the city seems different this morning. The people know that fairness and integrity have prevailed. They are inspired by your actions," Lysera smiled softly. "It feels different, yes. But the work is not finished. We have secured the pact with fairness, but now we must ensure that its principles are upheld. Integrity must guide every decision." Arin nodded. "Humanity has learned that a strong foundation requires consistent effort. The same applies here. But today is a day to acknowledge achievement. You have shown courage that others will follow for generations." As they spoke, delegations from various civilizations began arriving at the palace to express support and gratitude. Small representatives from distant star systems approached Lysera with tokens of appreciation, each one acknowledging the amendments she had championed. She accepted each gift humbly, her heart swelling with a sense of shared purpose. The galaxy was beginning to understand that strength came not from domination or fear, but from courage, justice, and fairness. In the council chamber, the final formalities of the pact were completed. Lysera addressed the assembled delegates one last time. Her voice carried authority, confidence, and warmth. "The pact we enact today is not just a document. It is a commitment to fairness, equality, and the protection of all civilizations. We will face challenges, but with courage and integrity, we will overcome them. Let this be the dawn of a stronger, united galaxy." Applause filled the chamber. Some delegates had tears in their eyes, moved by the sincerity and resolve of the princess. Arin watched proudly, knowing that humanity's example had helped ignite this change, yet recognizing that the true strength belonged to Lysera herself. After the council proceedings, Lysera returned to a quieter chamber with Arin. She exhaled deeply, feeling both relief and accomplishment. "It is done," she said. "The amendments have passed. The pact is fair, and yet I feel the weight of responsibility even more. The future now depends on how we act, not what we have promised." Arin placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "That is the mark of true leadership. Courage is not a single act, but a habit of choosing what is right again and again. Today you set an example that will inspire countless civilizations." Lysera's gaze softened. "Your presence reminded me that courage is strengthened by guidance and support. Humanity has faced so much, yet it continues to stand tall. You have taught me that even when the path is uncertain, integrity lights the way." As the sun rose higher, Lysera stepped onto the palace terraces to greet the citizens who had gathered. Children waved with curiosity, elders nodded in respect, and citizens from neighboring cities had come to witness the new dawn of leadership. Lysera spoke to them directly, her words simple yet powerful. "Today we have shown that fairness and courage matter. Each of us has the power to shape the future with our choices. Let us continue to act with integrity, protect the vulnerable, and work together to build a galaxy where justice prevails." The crowd responded with cheers and applause. Lysera realized that leadership was not only about making decisions within the walls of a council chamber, but about inspiring people to believe in what was right. Her courage had sparked a movement, and she knew that it would grow stronger with every day that followed. Later, Arin and Lysera walked through the palace gardens. The glowing plants reflected colors like a living rainbow, and soft streams of water traced paths across crystal stones. The beauty of Veralia mirrored the harmony that was now possible among civilizations when courage and fairness guided leadership. "Your Highness," Arin said, "you have changed the council and inspired the galaxy. But I see another change as well. You have grown stronger, more confident, and even more inspiring. The future of Veralia is in capable hands." Lysera paused, her gaze fixed on the flowing streams. "I have learned that courage is not just about standing firm. It is about understanding others, choosing what is right, and inspiring them to act with you. The galaxy is vast, Captain, and our choices echo farther than we can imagine." Arin smiled. "And that is why humanity exists, to remind others that courage, compassion, and integrity are powerful forces. You have shown that a leader who embraces these values can create real change." The two of them stood in quiet reflection, the gentle sounds of the garden filling the air. The challenges they had faced together had forged a bond of mutual respect and understanding. Lysera no longer saw Arin as merely a human guide. She saw him as a partner in the pursuit of justice, a companion who had helped her recognize her own strength. Later that evening, the palace held a ceremony to celebrate the revised pact. Delegates from distant star systems, representatives of smaller civilizations, and citizens of Virelia gathered together. Speeches were made, acknowledgments offered, and the significance of the day recognized. Lysera addressed the assembly once more, her voice steady and inspiring. Today we have proven that courage and integrity can triumph over fear and convention. We have shown that fairness is stronger than mere power. Let this day be remembered as the beginning of a galaxy where leaders choose what is right, not what is easy, and where humanity's example reminds us of the strength within each of us. Applause and cheers filled the hall. Some delegates were moved to tears. Aren looked on, proud yet humble, knowing that the true hero was Lysera herself. After the celebrations, the princess and Aren returned to the quiet of the palace gardens. The twin moons reflected off the crystal streams, and the air was filled with a sense of peace. "Captain," Lysera said softly, "I could not have faced this without your presence, not because you told me what to do, but because you reminded me of the courage I already had. Humanity has a way of inspiring others to stand taller." Aren shook his head with a modest smile. "You had the strength all along, Princess. I only helped you see it more clearly. Today you have shown the galaxy that courage and integrity can shape history." Lysera looked at him, a sense of warmth and gratitude in her eyes. "Then let us continue to act together, Captain. Not just for Virelia, but for every civilization that looks to the stars with hope. Let us ensure that fairness, courage, and justice guide our actions from now on." Aren nodded. "We will, one step at a time, with courage and integrity lighting the way." The palace gardens glowed under the twin moons, and the city of Virelia shimmered with promise. Citizens walked with renewed confidence, inspired by the courage of their princess. Delegates returned to their star systems carrying a message of hope and fairness. The Pact, once a source of potential conflict, now became a symbol of unity guided by morality and courage. Princess Lysera and Captain Aren stood together on the balcony, looking out at the horizon. The galaxy was vast, full of challenges and opportunities, but they had proven that principled leadership and the quiet influence of humanity could create lasting change. In that moment, a new dawn began. Not just for Virelia or its citizens, but for the galaxy itself. One leader's courage, supported by a human who embodied integrity and wisdom, had transformed fear into hope and uncertainty into action. And as the stars shone brightly above, the promise of a fairer, more just future spread across the galaxy, lighting the way for generations to come. Princess Lysera turned to Aren, her voice calm but full of determination. "The future is ours to shape, Captain. Together we will ensure that courage, integrity, and fairness guide every step we take." Aren smiled, feeling the weight of the journey they had shared. "And humanity will be there to remind the galaxy that even in the darkest times, courage and moral strength can inspire greatness." As they stood side by side, the palace of Virelia glowed in the night, reflecting a promise kept and a new era begun. The council had been changed, alliances strengthened, and the galaxy reminded that true power lies not in domination, but in courage, integrity, and the willingness to stand for what is right. And so, the story of the princess who stood firm and the human who inspired her reached its conclusion, leaving a legacy of hope, fairness, and the enduring strength of humanity.